It's funny because in some ways the cover can be as important as the content and the writing of the book itself. I think that's because if I think about myself, a lot of times if I'll be in a library or if I'll be in a bookstore, if I'm sifting through titles, the first thing that, the thing that you're going to have a really immediate and sort of intuitive reaction to is the cover. And I think in many ways the front cover as well as the blurb then on the back cover are what help you make that decision of whether the book will potentially speak to you or not. And so I think in that sense it's hard to undermine the importance of the book cover. The other thing is that the shelf life of a cover in some ways might actually outlive the reading experience of the book. And I think what I mean with that is that even once you're done with the book, you've read it, you've finished, the book is something you're likely to keep in your study, on a bookshelf, on a piano rack, on your bedside table. And so in that sense, I think it helps to have something that is powerful. Now, again, I don't think I mean that it has to be something which is just aesthetically beautiful in this formulaic conventional sense. But as long as it's powerful and it's mirroring what the book set out to do, there are ways of being powerful whilst being dark, whilst being, so I don't think it has to be beautiful in a very typical, predictable sense. With Skyfall, we definitely did have quite a bit of back and forth on the cover. um, and I'm glad that we put in that energy and the effort that went in, because we did have quite a few rounds, not least of all because I believe it's quite challenging to get images of Pakistan and especially people from Pakistan on the internet. It's not on sites that provide images, so that can be quite challenging. And I think I was really aware that I definitely did not want a typical cookie cutter impression of my protagonist on the cover. So what we have here is this now as the final cover of Skyfall, which I'm really, really pleased with, and it's garnering some fantastic reactions and it's very exciting.
Few months ago, Saba reached out to me through a friend asking me to do the cover for her upcoming novel, Skyfall. I was very excited. We discussed it, how do we want to go about it, and what was the image she had for that book cover.
With the cover, with the image of the person, I think we just wanted to be very clear that it shouldn't be something that seems to fit that box of either the oppressed, the oppressed woman with absolutely no agency, or kind of the vile fast woman. I don't think the protagonist lies on either end of that spectrum. So I ended up speaking to Arish, who's done a fantastic photo shoot with Ishmael, who you see on the cover.
When Arish discussed the idea with me, it was really new to me because I didn't know how covers are shot. I don't know how it happens. I don't know what it goes about when you're shooting for a cover.
There was this very very specific requirement that the girl needs to be in a very traditional white dress and some traditional jewelry to go with it, very basic makeup and all. I'm so glad that Ishmael did all that by herself. She took out clothes from her own closet, her own jewelry and everything, and she looked beautiful for that shot.
He's done it in Lahore itself, and I think that was the other thing, because the significance of places in Skyfall, geographical locations, and Lahore being a key part of it, is just so important, as is Manhattan. So when you see the Manhattan skyline and the skyscrapers, and you see the protagonist almost kind of looking out through this archway. So the archway that you see, the white trimmings on the edges of the cover, that's shot by a Rish. That isn't something that we've just put in.
The reason why I chose Lahore Fort was that's one place where we can have multiple spots where we can take the similar shot I was looking for. The corridors or the windows or the arches around the fort, Lahore Fort. They're very very traditional Mughal architecture is there. So I wanted to capture that and place that girl who is from the inner Lahore, the old walled city of Lahore, sitting there, and there's the New York in the backdrop and everything. So the Lahore Fort is kind of like an ideal location for that.
Corfu's always been the kind of a place where it's like you're going for school trips and you're going for assignments and you're going for stuff like that. So for to go there for a shoot, specifically for a book, was extremely new to me. We went there earliest in the morning. It was Arish, his camera, me dressed up in very traditional jewelry and traditional clothing, and we were looking at arches. And the best part was that Arish actually knew a lot about the place. So he gave me all these notes of information, and I feel like I learned more than I did back in college about the place in that one visit. So that was interesting. That was fun.
So initially, she asked me if I have some, stock shots with a girl looking, sitting in a balcony or a window, or any traditional spots in Lahore. I had some. I took out some from archive and I shared with that, but the strong vision she had for that cover was not really going with that.
So he did shoot at that exact location in front of Sheesh Mahal, which I think was very exciting because that's very much the world of the book. And I don't think we could have got that just picking up images off a random site. So I'm really glad that in the end we went for a photo shoot. I'm really happy with the way the covers turned out in the end. I mean, I feel like when I look at this cover today, I think the biggest thing it does for me is that there was a world of Skyfall that I was really immersed in. And I think this cover today really captures that. I don't think an author or writer can ask for very much more. So when I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Rania. And that's because I have these really vivid impressions of the streets, the alleys, the buildings, the people, which funnily during lockdown I really immersed myself in. And there would be moments where I'd have to really consciously snap myself out of that and say, oh gosh, like Rania doesn't exist, Asher doesn't exist. Well, they don't exist in the way we think people and things, exist anyway. But they do in my head. And so for that to be captured so poignantly and so beautifully on the cover of Skyfall, I think it's a very rewarding feeling. And I have everybody right from Bloomsbury to Arish to Ishmael to whoever was to Arish's team. I think I have everybody to thank for that. It's definitely been co-creative. It's been very collaborative, and it's worked out really, really well. So you can order Skyfall through Amazon. In Pakistan, you can also order it or get it through Liberty Books. And I'm very excited for all of you to take a look at it.